Learning Objective C is the bulk of this section, and they're going to have us use the factor theorem and long division from the previous section to factor polynomials. So in this particular problem, if you were asked to factor this equation, the first thing I would probably try is to factor by grouping to see if it would work. So if you group these here and you group these here, remember we're trying to get this identical group, whichever left over, to match up. And this unfortunately is not going to be able to be factored by grouping. So if factor by grouping doesn't work, your next obvious thing to do is to graph it. If you put this into the graphing calculator, this is what you're going to see. And you are looking for obvious zeros. This is a third degree polynomial, so we know there are exactly 3 zeros for this particular polynomial. I can see there's 3 of them and they're real. There's only one that's really an obvious integer though. It's this guy right here. And this happens to be at the 0 of -3. So the one thing I know, they want me to factor it. Great, I know one of them. One of the factors is x plus 3. So I'm 1/3 of the way there. Now I'm not quite sure what these other 2 are exactly. So what I need to do is to take this factor that I got from this 0 and long divide it out of this. So let's do it. I'm going to make sure this is in standard format. No placeholders are needed because all of the terms are there. And let's factor out x plus 3. Now, if you factor it and you get a remainder, it means it's not even factorable. But I will tell you this one will work. All right, what do we need to do to x to make it a 6x cubed? Well, I need a 6x squared. Let's multiply. Gives us 6x cubed plus 18x squared. Don't forget, you have to come on in here and subtract. So I'm going to subtract those, which will then lead me with my x cubes fall out here. Those will drop out. A 17x squared minus 18x squared is a -1x squared. And I'm going to bring the rest of this down. That's the first round. Let's go round 2. What do I do to x to make it a -1x squared? I need a -1x. I'm going to multiply that through. I'm going to get a -1x squared and a -3x. I'm going to come in and subtract this, so this becomes plus and plus. When you add down, your x squareds cancel. -4x plus 3x is -1x. Bring this down a -3. The last thing, what do you do to x to make it a -1x? I need a -1. Multiply this through, so this goes here and this goes here, which will give us then a -1x minus 3. I'm going to come on in and subtract, so that changes to plus, and I notice there's no remainder. So how do I find the other 2 factors that go along with this final answer so I can block this off as my answer? What I have to do is take the quotient here and see if I can factor it. So let's take a look and see if we can factor this into 2 groups. So the key here is I need to take factors of the 6x squared have to go here and here. And then factors for -1 have to go here and here, such that when I multiply this and this, it adds to the middle term that we see here. So this would have to add to a -1x. And we're just going to do a guess and check and see if we can get it. So I am guessing that we can maybe do this. The x squared, by the way, is easy. That's x and x. But I need the factors of the 6. So it's either 6 and 1 or 3 and 2. I'm going to guess that it's 3 and 2. Now, I have to go factors of -1. There's really only one set for -1. It's -1 times +1. The question here, do I put the -1 here or the -1 here? Well, I can tell it's going to have to be the -1 here and +1 here. Let me show you why. If I do 1 times 2x as 2x, and 3x times -1 is a -3x, that will add to the -1x, which is the middle term. So those are the correct factors, and I can put that here as 3x plus 1 and 2x minus 1. and this is factored fully.